Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles and its countdown to Gamescom. Today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'll fly to Cologne for Gamescom back on Sunday, which may mean I might not have time to do a Mingles with Jingles next Monday. We'll have to see how it goes. In the meantime, World of Tanks, I have two battles for you today, and they couldn't be any more different if I tried. Our first match is Assault on Derpenberg. This is Magnus in the German Tier 9 tank destroyer, well, the original German Tier 9 tank destroyer, the Jagdtiger. He's on the defending team. Now remember, Assault has a 10-minute time limit. It's not the regular 15 minutes that you get in a random battle. So the enemy team have 10 minutes to destroy every tank on Magnus's team or capture their base. Okay? Okay, let's see how it goes. Now, I know what you're thinking, because this is Derpenberg after all, but nope. Nobody even gets close enough to an enemy tank in this match to push them into one of the water hazards. And I certainly didn't notice anybody accidentally drowning themselves, but this match got off to a rousing start. First shot of the match. Amarax, a Tier 7 heavy. The Oni driver seemed to see the funny side though, but there's the first kill, with bare seconds of the match underway. Now, if you have a look at the way the teams have split, the defending team, Magnus's team, they only have 5 tanks this side. Stops to take a shot, an M4A1 Ravioli, and it looks like he missed, but don't worry, going to be plenty more for him to shoot at. Because of the way the teams have split, Magnus's team only have 5 tanks on this side of the map. The other 2/3 of the team have all headed over to the eastern side, but the situation is almost completely reversed on the enemy team. Magnus's team are outnumbered 2-1 over on this side, whereas the enemy team is outnumbered 2-1 over on the other side. Nice little shot into the Object 704 there. Not entirely sure why the Object 704 thought that was the best way to cross the courtyard. There's a castle there. If you have to get from one side of the map to the other, the castle's there to give you a good 90 to 100 metres of side armour. Why not use that? But, well, anyway, obviously he had places to be and people to see. So he crossed the open ground sideways on in front of an AMX-30, an Object 704 and a Jagdtiger and paid the price. And that's something else you have to bear in mind here. Despite the fact that Magnus's team are outnumbered 2-1 over here, with the exception of that Object 704 and I think an M103, most of the opposition over there are all Tier 7 and 8 tanks. And over here we've got a Jagdtiger, an AMX-30, an Object 704, an E75, all of them Tier 9s, and an AMX-30-90, Tier 8 light tank. So you can kind of see why none of these guys are too anxious to push forward. The scores, by the way, 1/3 of the enemy team are now dead. The scores are 5-0. So if most of the enemy Tier 9s are on the other side of the map, but outnumbered, possibly by as much as 2-1, surely the reverse should be happening over on the other side of the map. Well, no, because almost all of these tank casualties have occurred to the enemy team on the other side of the map, where they've got the quality advantage, if not the quantity advantage. Well, with the exception of the Oni that got ammo-racked on the way over, all of these enemy tanks over here, well, he's killed a Black Prince as well. But that's it. They've only really suffered 2 casualties over here. They're now losing 8-0. Oh, Magnus has been spotted. Come on then, somebody have a go. Come on, anybody? Who wants to come out and take a shot? Come and have a go if you think you're hard enough. Somebody took a shot. They missed by about 30 metres, but they took a shot. 2/3 of the enemy team are now dead, and it's pretty much all happening over on the other side of the map. So the 2/3 of Magnus's team that aren't over here are now about to sweep around and catch all of these guys right in the backside. Oh, they do have another Tier 9 over here. The T-54's on this side of the map, so it looks like the only Tier 9s that they actually had over on the other side of the map were the E50, the Jagdtiger and the ST-1. And they're all dead. Watch this shot. Sniping the commander's hatch of the T-29. And the AMX-30-90 is feeling very confident right now. He's moving right up. 2 enemy tanks left. M103, who's now dead, And T-54. Have a look at the timer. This is not the fastest 15-0 defeat I have ever seen in World of Tanks. But it's, you know, it's still a good one. And I think he's going to get the kill on the T-54. Check out these post-battle results screens. Look at this. Well, okay, victory. Only a first-class mastery badge, but he did get high caliber. Look at that. Everybody on his team did some damage. Okay, the guys down at the bottom barely did any damage, but they did some damage. That's not something you often see in a game of World of Tanks. There's usually, well, anything up to a third of your team that just doesn't get any damage done, gets taken out, killed early. Not this time around. Every single player on Magnus's team managed to get some damage done. Not so much on the enemy team. 15-0 defeats, the stuff of legend. So, how do you follow a game like that? Well, with something completely different, of course. This is the M60 Clan Wars Tier 10 American reward tank. And we've got two of them. This is a two-man M60 platoon in a random battle on the swamp map. It's Squishy Manatee, who I've definitely featured in a replay before. You don't forget a name like that in a hurry. And his platoon mate over there, Conrad. Well, I say it's a platoon, because it is a platoon, but this isn't really about Conrad. He doesn't have a bad game, but he doesn't have the game that Squishy Manatee is going to have. So, what is the M60, other than a Clan Wars reward tank? Well, basically it's a modified M48, which is exactly what the M60 was in real life. The differences are that make sure I've got this right actually, because I'm going from memory. The M48 has better hull armour, substantially better hull armour. Turrets are pretty much exactly the same, but the M60 has low DPM because of the slow reload on the 105mm gun, although it is more accurate and it does have a better aiming time. But the damage per minute on the M60 is not actually that good, certainly not compared to the M48. The M60 also has a slightly faster top speed than the M48, but it's only 3.5 kilometers per hour. In most other respects, these two tanks are very, very similar. And there's the first shot of the game. First blood to Squishy Manatee, and second blood to Squishy Manatee. Useful hit there on the side of the E50, and he seems to have upset that E50. That E50 is determined to get some revenge, and it's costing him a lot of health. At some point he's going to realise that he's not really coming off best in this trade. There he's fired and missed, and now he's had enough. Or has he? Is he going to poke for some more? He does seem to be loitering around over there, doesn't he? Here he comes. Yep. Oh, and that one missed. Well, that's not bad. He's hit and damaged the E50 3 times, and the E50 has hit and damaged him no times. So, yeah, I think we came out ahead on that one. Well, alright, the E50 did hit him once, but it didn't do any damage. Looking at the shell tracer, it looked like the E50 was trying to aim for the machine gun turret on top, but, well, wherever he hit him, it certainly didn't penetrate. So, whole bunch of tanks on the corner up there. A lot of them took a lot of damage just getting there. Most of them didn't stop sideways on in front of Squishy Manatee's gun. Some of them did. The ones that did got punished for it. And right now, there's a whole bunch of tanks up there that are 1 or 2 shots away from dying. In fact, some of them are dying. So they're likely to start falling back now. The Squishy Manatee puts himself in a position to take advantage of that. There's the E50, starts turning the turret around, and his platoon mate Conrad smacks him in the side of the turret, finishes him off. Squishy Manatee puts one more shot into the last surviving enemy tank up there and doesn't hang around waiting for him to die. Instead, he's already on the move, looking for the rest of the enemy team, because the enemy team are doing to Squishy Manatee's team on the other side of the map what Squishy Manatee's team have just done to the enemy team over here. Despite that comprehensive spanking that they just administered to all those enemy mediums, the scores are actually pretty even. They're 5-4. They're ahead by 1 kill, but that's nothing in a game of World of Tanks. These scores can change dramatically in a very, very short space of time. Now bear in mind he did not get spotted when he crossed the middle of the map there, which means that at the time there were no enemy tanks watching the middle. So that leaves him with 3 options. He could continue heading in this direction and come up on the rear of the enemy tanks that are driving a big column right towards his base. Or he could skirt around the middle and try to get some flanking shots into the enemy tanks. The third option, however, is to go back the long way around and deal with the enemy tanks who are capping head on. And that's the option that he chooses. Now that might not seem like the smartest choice, but just think about it for a minute. Who is likely to be going back to defend the flag on the enemy base? Because Squishy Manatee's team have already started capping. It's not going to be the people that don't pay attention to the map. So the people heading back to defend the cap are liable to be the better players on the enemy team. And if Squishy Manatee had continued going around the corner down there, he would have ended up facing the better players on the enemy team face to face. That would have been a fair fight. You don't want to be getting into fair fights. You want to be getting into fights that are as unfair as possible for the enemy team. So he's taken the long way around to come and defend the cap against the players who weren't paying attention to the map and are therefore unlikely to be the creme de la creme of the enemy players. Kill these and suddenly the better players on the enemy team are outnumbered and you can fight them on terms that are favourable to you as well. Also, you get to do lots of damage and farm lots of kills. Or at least that's the plan, because you could look at it another way. If Squishy Manatee had advanced on the enemy base or put himself in a position to interdict the enemy tanks coming back to defend the enemy base, maybe all the tanks that were down there on his team wouldn't have died already. But then again, it's just as likely that he may have died with them. And if he hadn't come back up here, the enemy team might have won by capping. So we're just going to have to roll with it and see what happens. So the scores are 10 to 11. Conrad's just pulled another kill back, but everybody that went to attack the enemy base has died, and everybody that came to attack Squishy Manatee's base has died. So you're now at the stage of the game where the tanks that are remaining are either pretty good or disastrously bad. Pretty good because they're capable of looking at the map, which automatically puts them in the top 20% of World of Tanks players, or disastrously bad because they were so incredibly out of position that nobody's actually had a chance to shoot at them yet. There's only one way to find out, and that's to fight them. Okay, he got spotted there, and ooh, that one went into his tracks. That's probably going to be a source of great annoyance for this guy, because that one didn't go into his tracks and the return shot missed by a mile. So Conrad and Squishy Manatee doing the old bait and switch here at these enemy heavies as they cross the middle, and it looks like they're going after that IS-5 who's got himself into a hold down position and he's just hanging on as best he can. But Squishy Manatee's doing a considerable amount of damage to the flanks of these heavies as they cross the middle of the map, and nobody's firing back at him. The T-50's obviously pulled back to reload. Oh, and there's a killing shot. But Conrad has pulled right back. They're no longer able to get flanking fire on those enemy tanks because the enemy IS-4 has just pushed up onto the hill here. There he is. And that is the first damage Squishy Manatee has taken in this game. It's blown his tracks off, but he knows he can repair his tracks before the IS-4 can fire again. Right now they know that they've got this IS-4 to themselves. The IS-5 has just killed one of the enemy tanks that's attacking him, and the other two enemy tanks, the 215B and the Skoda T-50, are over there dealing with the IS-5. In fact, they've just killed the IS-5, so Squishy Manatee and Conrad know that they've got this IS-4 completely to themselves, and they have to kill him and then break contact and get the hell out of there. Conrad missed that shot at the IS-4, but the IS-4 missed the return shot at Conrad, and there is no way that the IS-4 was ever going to get out of there. So, we know where the 215B and the Skoda T-50 were. They were over on the other side of the hill behind us, killing the IS-5. Likewise, the 215B and the Skoda T-50 know where Conrad and Squishy Manatee were, over here, killing the IS-4. Nobody really knows where everybody is at the moment, however. So now everybody's playing brain games with each other. Conrad and Squishy Manatee are putting themselves in a position to intercept those two enemy tanks if they come around the flank. But they haven't seen anything yet. So they go back to check, and yep, there's the 215B. He's heading straight for where they were last spotted fighting the IS-4. Squishy Manatee hasn't been seen yet, although Conrad probably has. And get a shot at the 215B, but where's the Skoda T-50? We don't know where he is. Alright. He doesn't seem to be backing up the 215B. Or if he is, he's not doing it obviously. 215B has obviously seen Conrad and is worrying that he doesn't know where Squishy Manatee is, so he's not taking the bait and coming over. And Squishy Manatee equally isn't taking the bait and going over and trying to get shots into the 215B. He wants to know where that T50 is before he commits himself. Where would he have gone? There he is. Ah, crap. He flanked around. Okay, Conrad put a shot into him, but the 215B came up. Perfectly timed by the enemy team there. They've taken Conrad out. And Squishy Manatee is now alone against 2 enemy tanks. So that's bad. What's worse is that the T50 spotted him. So they both know where he is. So he's getting out of here. The M60 has a pretty slow reload. So he needs to whittle the health of these 2 tanks down, and he needs to do that without taking any return fire. That means relocating and popping up and firing from where they least expect it, just shaving their health off 1 shot at a time. And he's managed to make it all the way over here by using the terrain to shield him from observation from those 2 enemy tanks. He's managed to make it all the way over here without being spotted until he fires the gun and scores a hit on the 215B. 215B's turret's going to be swinging around. He has been spotted. Takes another shot. Nah, nothing happened. Where's the T50 though? This is what you have to have in the back of your head. That is not the only enemy tank left. Now, we've been spotted over here. We don't know where the T50 is. He's demonstrated that he's not an idiot. Relocate. The 215B so far has at least shown that he keeps heading for the spot where Squishy Manatee and Conrad were last seen. So maybe we can use that to our advantage. The T50, not so much. There he is. He's trying to work his way around the flank again. Okay. We took a hit, he took a hit. So he's going to have 2 shots left in his autoloader. And yet he doesn't seem to want to use them. So why is he doing that? What does he know that we don't? What's this 215B doing? There he is. Unfortunately, his armour took that one. Is it worth popping out to take another shot? Probably not. He's going to do it though. Nope. No shot. Where's the T50? Has he taken advantage of this to work his way around? He's not where he was. Here he is. He has taken advantage of it to work his way around. Okay, that could have gone better, but it could have gone worse. That shot seemed to hit his gun mantlet. And, well, he didn't get a return shot off. That missed. So the Skoda's probably got 1 shot left, or he's going for a reload. The fact that he fell back and waited for the 215B to come up would indicate that he's probably going for a reload. So Squishy Manatee bugs out again, hoping that he's right and the T50 is going for a reload and he can get out of here without being spotted and once again relocate to another position. And see if that 215B is going to keep heading to the spot where Squishy Manatee was last seen and try to make the most of that while that T50 is reloading. And yet he is. Every time this guy is headed to that little blip on the mini-map, which is where Squishy Manatee was last spotted. Oh, he took a hit. He's burned his repair kit to repair his tracks. Come on, come on. Done it. Right. 215B dead. Did the T50 reload, or does he just have 1 shot left? Oh, there he is. This isn't good, and it just got worse. The T50 shot damaged Squishy Manatee's ammo rack, and he's used his repair kit to get his tracks back up when he was facing off against the 215B. But the T50 does not push the advantage. If he'd reloaded, he'd have 2 shots left, and Squishy Manatee would be dead. But the way he's driving the tank would kind of suggest that he didn't in fact go for that reload. And now, the only thing that's keeping the T50 alive is the fact that Squishy Manatee's ammo rack was damaged, but he does have a shot reloaded now. There's only 2 minutes of this game left, so whoever scores the first damaging hit here is going to win the game. Has the T50 reloaded yet? By now, yes he probably has. Who's going to blink first? Oh, it bounced! He's got him! And that's game over. Lovely performance from Squishy Manatee there, working the odds all the way through that game for a very, very well-deserved ace tanker. Only the 5 kills, he said, as if getting 5 kills was nothing. But look at that. Just a fraction under 10,000 damage and almost 1,400 base experience in the M60 in that match on Swamp. Fantastic gameplay, phenomenal score, great results. Squishy Manatee, another amazing replay. Thank you very much for sending that one in. So I hope you've enjoyed those 2 games in today's episode of World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. As always, folks, take care, and I'll catch you next time.